It's another second act show. I'm always amazed that it actually works. I'm John Tarnoff.
And I'm Carrie Hannon.
And today I think we're going to be the Marge and Homer Simpson of second act careers.
Well done.
We've
All
done that
right.
one before.
No.
So we are very pleased to have on with us today Lawrence Kosick, who is the co-founder of Get Set Up. First of all, I just wanted to ask Carrie if you would do us an update on your book, because your book has been getting kind of continual attention this summer and fall of 2022, and just tell us what's going on with that.
Oh, John, thank you so much. Yeah, In Control at 50 Plus, How to Succeed in the New World of Work is, so relevant, and so many people have really been getting excited about reading it, learning from it. And I've been having a ball. I've been doing so many different podcasts, book clubs, and the questions and the feedback I'm getting is so rewarding that I've got to say I think this might be one of my absolute favorite projects I've worked on, and it's just the summer has been loaded with opportunities to talk about all of this. So I appreciate you saying that, and if anyone wants to check it out, please do. I appreciate the feedback.
That's great. Do you think we're getting, I mean, not to detract from our guest today, but just one quick question. Do you think we're kind of hitting a tipping point in terms of this understanding of the second act, encore career, late career, extended career paradigm in our work culture?
John, you and I have been at this for a while. So for us, it seems like it's always been a part of the conversation, but we're hearing it from all different pockets now. It's coming out of all different kinds of parts of our society, our culture. People are realizing, particularly right now in the economic sort of playing ground we have out there with interest rates going up, with inflation, people are nervous. The stock market is volatile. People are understanding that, hey, this might be the time for me to be thinking about continuing to work longer than I might have imagined once, but also doing work I love, doing something that matters to me. And so this conversation is really starting about the importance of building work into your quote retirement days or retirement plan, but also making it rewarding work and making your second act really significant. So I think that you're correct. I think we are seeing more momentum. It still has a ways to go, but the fact of the matter is we are an aging society, and this isn't going away.
Great. Well, we are going to contribute to that momentum here today on the Second Act Show. And I just want to talk about our guest, Lawrence Kosick, who is a longtime technology executive, no stranger to building communities, which is what he's doing now. He was running global partnerships at Yahoo back in the day, more recently for companies like IFTT. But he decided to launch Get Set Up based on his own personal experience, which I think goes very much to the idea of the second act career. Lawrence grew up in Vancouver, and he spent his childhood visiting the nonprofit assisted living facility that his dad had founded. And he was very impressed by the wisdom and the generosity of the residents. And this made a really strong impression on him, which has persisted throughout his life. So when the time came for him to launch his own venture, this became a natural outgrowth of that. So in our talk today with Lawrence, we're going to learn more about how he and his partner started the venture, how it works, and how it's giving members the opportunity to both train and be trained on a wide range of topics, which I think is a really unique kind of a business model. So having said all that, let's bring Lawrence onto the stream.
Hey, Lawrence.
Hey, everybody. John and Carrie, it's great to be here and part of the Second Act Show.
Well, thank you for joining us.
So let's pick up on this question, and I want to just kind of reorganize our screen here to give you a little bit more prominence. There we go. Let's talk about founding Get Set Up and this segue from your prior career as an executive into being an entrepreneur. Although, being in tech, it's an entrepreneurial field. I'm sure that was a great training ground for you. But what was that inciting moment which tipped the balance into starting the venture? And if you could kind of give us that evolution, that would be great.
Sure, I'd be happy to. And as you mentioned, John, earlier, I did grow up in Vancouver, and my father was a co-founder of an assisted living facility, and I did get to go nights and weekends and spend time with the older adults there. And two things sort of did occur to me that I still recall today is the wealth of knowledge and insight that they had as I sat around and was able to talk to them, but also sort of this notion that there was so much more that they could do, but if only there was a way to sort of empower and create the ability for them to do that. And so as I sort of fast forwarded sort of through my career and now to today, or last couple of years, you know, the older I got, the more I really wanted to do something that was both, you know, important to me and making a difference, but also sort of creating an interesting career and sort of satisfying my desire to always be an entrepreneur. And I have a father who's in his early 90s, and he has a voracious appetite for technology. And suffice to say, you know, I was very poor tech support. As were my co-founders. We were all struggling with sort of this same situation, and we realized that there's no real platform that allows people safely and securely, older adults, to learn new things, socialize, and connect with others. There's sort of small little niche ones, but there wasn't anything really being done at scale. And we thought, maybe we could pool our sort of collective knowledge, and this would be a wonderful thing, wonderful thing to create. And I think our timing was interesting because we actually launched this before the pandemic. So we thought it was a big problem and a big opportunity even before the pandemic hit. And then when the pandemic hit, suddenly everybody had to quarantine. And so now we all had to access resources virtually. And for an older adult, this was an interesting and new challenge that forced some new behavior, right? How to learn apps to have your food delivered, your medication delivered, use telehealth services, stay healthy and exercise at home, cook healthy recipes at home. All sorts of interesting new challenges became important. And we thought, well, what a wonderful opportunity for us to make a difference by creating a virtual platform where seniors can learn, older adults and or seniors can learn the things they need to live happy, healthy, more connected lives. And so Get Set Up was born.
And, you know, I think, Lawrence, what's interesting too is you have such a breadth of opportunities for people to learn on that platform. Like you just said, you know, it's cooking, but it's also, you have a whole channel that you've recently launched, I believe, on entrepreneurship itself. So can you talk just a little bit about that for us?
Okay, so the evolution really was, we wanted to start a platform that helped older adults get comfortable with whatever smart device they had at home. We believe that if we didn't solve the first mile problem, we couldn't solve anything thereafter. And so we focus, the name Get Set Up, we're going to help people get set up on their iPads, their smartphones, their old laptops, whatever it was. And if we could get them into that first Zoom class, it would open up a whole new universe of anything and everything they could learn. Cooking, photography, arts and crafts, job skills, you name it. But the initial goal was to get them comfortable with the device and into that first video session. Now, once we were able to do that, we started to ask them, what else would you like to learn? What problems are you trying to solve? What things are you trying to learn? And we quickly realized that people care greatly about their physical wellness, mental wellness, social, and financial, right? A lot of the classes that people were asking us to provide led us to believe that they were very interested in either continuing to work or reskill and upskill to either maintain and improve in the job that they were in or find something new. And so we really double clicked on that and said, well, okay, if these are the important things that people want or need to learn, you know, how do we provide more of that? And so the reskilling and upskilling was important for us because not only do we as Get Set Up use that to reskill and upskill our teachers who teach other older adults, but if we can teach folks whatever skills they need so they can go out into the market and the workforce and start whatever it is they want to start or do whatever it is they want to do, so much the better. Rising tides would lift all boats. And so it started with basic tech, but us sort of watching what people wanted and asking them what they needed to learn really sort of helped inform our curriculum.
So this is the second act show. So we are focused on career and income. So I'd like to drill down a little bit with you on those career skills, and really interested to learn about, I guess, what you've learned from your population, because the wonderful aspect of this as a community is that it's interactive, right? So you're learning from your community about how to serve them, and then they're also stepping in to provide some of that training or resource that training. So from a career development perspective, what have you learned about what people are doing, what they want, what they need, and what they lack, and how are you filling those needs?
Oh gosh, what a big question. It really depends on sort of the different
Sorry.
cohorts that you look at. No. Let's pull this apart.
Yeah.
I think that as we look at sort of the first part of the population that we serve, and let's call it sort of say 50 to 65 ish, that cohort really does spend more of their time in the tech classes and how to, and they're trying to learn skills that we know are, improving their LinkedIn profile, because that's their digital resume, how to interview, how to use, basic hardware and software. The things that tell you that they're interested in staying employed or looking for something new or starting a new business. Courses around building a website and how to blog and how to register a company. Those are all really great classes which tell you those people want to work. And so that cohort we really dug into and realized that they were very mission specific in the way they wanted to use the platform. They would come and take classes, and they would spend less time, but they knew what they wanted to do. They did it, and they left. They'd come back for periodic upgrades. And then as we dug into the next part of the demographic, which is say like 65 to 75, even to 80, we knew that these folks, there was more curiosity, and there was a lot of folks taking classes around skilling and things that might sort of keep them working either on a volunteer basis or to make additional income. But there was a lot of other curiosity and sort of, brain games, sort of learning languages, arts, photography, entertainment, just social engagement type of things. Right. Sort of started to become part of the equation as well. So depending on the cohort you looked at, we would see and do see very interesting use cases around what people want to learn and why.
Interesting.
Hey, John, can I interrupt you for
please.
second in this important discussion? But I just got a note from somebody saying that it might not be live on LinkedIn right now. I wondered if you would just take a quick look at your dial.
Okay.
It said it's just waiting to broadcast or something. Sorry to interrupt, Lawrence, but I think this is important.
Oh, not at all. Sure.
While I'm teching, why don't you
we can keep talking. But
sure.
Do we also mention that you may have at the top, and I spaced on it, but that your classes, it's designed to learn from adults who are in your age range, and it's like it's kind of that learning from your own colleagues, your own cohort.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that, Carrie, because it was a very important part of our business decision, and it was an important part of the problem that we wanted to solve, which was, as we all get older, we have a little bit more sort of fear and hesitation around learning new things and taking risks. And we believed that if we reskilled and upskilled older adults and had us teach the other older adults the things they needed to learn to live happy, healthy, more connected lives, that would be a much easier environment to help somebody get comfortable with learning something new. So it's a peer-to-peer platform, right? It's folks over 50 teaching other folks over 50 whatever it is they need to learn. And relevant to this conversation, it's job skills, right? They're thinking about, what do I need to do to reskill, upskill? What do I need to do on LinkedIn? How can I take my work history and perhaps augment it with a little bit of training? And how do I go find my next opportunity? What are the tools and resources to do that? And so our platform is older adults in live interactive sessions, helping other older adults figure all of this out.
Yeah, and there's no question that's too stupid, right? Because you're in a, it's not like you're talking to someone decades younger than you who's already lost patience with your inability to navigate something, right? And I just love that sense of relationship building that happens. And your classes are small as well, right?
Yeah, for the most part, I think that, anything that needs to have a high degree of interaction, they're usually pretty small. If it's an
Yeah.
exercise or fitness class, those can be pretty big,
Okay.
but the business sessions are generally pretty small, where people really dig into sort of what it is they need to solve for, or how they actually update their LinkedIn profile for optimum results.
So, John, have you solved your tech problem?
Well, it does seem like for some reason LinkedIn is not featuring us today, but I put a link to the YouTube stream, which is live.
Smart.
So if you don't catch us on LinkedIn, then watch us on YouTube.
All right,
We're
you're
there.
very clever. Okay, so back, so can you? I know we have so many different strings to pull here, but I wanted to talk a little bit, Lawrence, about how you came to finding your partner and how that the magic of the sort of the two generations working together is for you.
Sure. I mean, I guess we're probably a multi-generational founding team at Get Set Up, because I'm 55, and my co-founder is now 37. So we've been at this for a couple of years. So he started when we were 35. But we were both very passionate about the category. Both had parents who we knew this could be a wonderful resource for. And I think we met. We've long since been friends. We met on a mountain bike trip in the Himalayas 8 years ago, and we've been friends ever since. And we're both trail runners and cyclists, and so we would go on these long weekend adventures, and we'd talk about how we could solve this particular problem and what the right approach might be. And we argued about it for quite a while. But he had the perspective of a 35-year-old, and I had a perspective of a 50-plus-year-old, right? And in the end, it's been a great combination, because he brings a lot of the tech expertise that we need to think about as we're trying to remove the friction. Like using tech, it needs to be, how do you make it approachable? How do you remove the barriers and the complexity around making it approachable? And so, we've made so many mistakes over the past couple of years, but the good news is we make them quite quickly. We learn from them, and we go, oh, that button was too small. That button's too big. It's the wrong font. It's the wrong color. The login screen is too complicated. And having a really strong technical co-founder, we can fix and test the next thing pretty quickly. And so it's been wonderful because we both respect the different opinion and different approach that we bring. And it's quite complementary. And so as you look, and that's carried on to the rest of our workforce, because, we have folks that are 25 that work for us, and we have folks that are 78, 82 actually that work for us as well. So it's a very, very multi-generational workforce, well beyond just the founding team.
And you had a pretty tremendous network yourself of people that you knew who could kind of support your idea as well from your career, which, of course you had Yahoo in your background, which I like.
Right. Yes, of course. And so I think that we were blessed in finding, initial investors for the business who understood that, this is the fastest growing demographic, the 50 plus, not just in the US, but globally. And in many ways, the most underserved and the most untapped. So what a wonderful thing to sort of work on and to invest in, and us being able to sort of assemble, veterans from the tech space, from healthcare, from sort of the aging and longevity space, and get sort of the best of all of those brains to help us sort of think through our approach was really quite important, because we realized that nobody's really done what we've done before. So there's no real playbook to follow. So we're going to make a lot of mistakes. We're going to learn fast, but the fewer we can make and the faster we can get there, the better, right?
Yeah.
Lawrence, I wanted to just segue from that into perhaps a little bit of a more general question about the model that you're following for Get Set Up. And I kind of teased this in my blurb, in my announcement for the talk, about the fact that there's a lot of learning going on out there. There are a lot of learning platforms, lots of different flavors of this. Obviously, you are focused on a particular demographic, but what are some of the other differentiators that you think apply to what you're doing that could perhaps extend beyond that older demographic and really get into this whole multi-generational thing, which we're also talking about, which is also really important for future survival. And just talk a little bit about that in terms of the way you're positioning the company and working within this learning ecosystem that's ongoing.
So when we started the business, we realized the category was missing a variety of things that we might be able to solve for. We thought that there was no sort of large virtual place that was safe and secure, that produced sort of content specific for this demographic, that could be delivered in a live interactive format. And even more importantly, peer-to-peer, meaning older adult to older adult. And so those things, we thought if you put them all together, that could be a reasonably compelling offering, because there was a lot of asynchronous video sort of learning platforms that you could watch and learn from. And you can go and see almost anything you want on platforms like, YouTube, for example, right? But if we were really going to sort of engage with this audience, we believed that the right way to do it was to have other older adults, so folks just like them with a similar sort of patience, empathy, and cadence, right? Provide interesting sort of programming, curriculum, and classes for folks just like them. And that would reduce a lot of the fear and hesitation around learning something new and taking that risk. And so I think those things we believed were an interesting competitive advantage. And then, because I have a very gifted technical co-founder, he assembled a wonderful team that would obsess around removing friction when older adults were trying to access a video platform and get into classes. And so we would think a lot about sort of how to take the user interface, like the screen, and how would we change the buttons and the design, and how would we augment the login? How would we integrate sort of sign on, the reminders, the notifications? What did we want to do to the in-class experience to promote sort of connection and engagement and questions and whatnot? And so we really did sort of design the platform from the ground up to be quite specific for doing what it was we wanted to do with this population.
Right. So it really does go to user experience as a distinctive differentiator.
Yeah, very, very much so. And let me just tell you, I have a father who's in his early 90s, as we talked about earlier, and he's not shy about giving us feedback around what we can do better. As a matter of fact, I probably get 3 calls a week. What? You shouldn't change the color. You shouldn't change the button. Why did you move that? That was my favorite instructor. Why'd you change the time over that? Like literally, if you take the feedback from the customers, and the customers are always right, they will guide you, and they guide us, and it helps us really understand sort of ways we can improve the platform.
Well, I'd love to know, and maybe, it just boils down a little bit, but what's your advice from your experience, really from your entire career, but from this particular opportunity, your advice for others who are interested in launching maybe something, not something as grand or as, with such audacious goals kind of as Get Set Up has managed to set and accomplish. But, what have you learned that might help somebody, just a couple of points of advice?
So for our demographic, it's just get started, right? Get into your first class and reach out and take a class on maybe your smartphone, and get comfortable with a piece of technology or an app that you use in your everyday life, and just get better at it, and see if learning virtually in a session much like we're having right now feels comfortable. And I bet you'll think, well, if I can learn Gmail and I can learn LinkedIn this way, then maybe I can learn to build a website, and maybe I can learn how to do a whole host of other things. and I can do it with fun, interesting people like me. And then from that, and this is really quite important because I believe, of all the other challenges that face us after 50, ageism and whatnot, there's a confidence gap that we often have because we're worried that the employer that we reach out to is not going to say yes, that our resume is not going to have the right experience on it. And yes, and yes, that is all going to happen, but you got to give it a try. You can learn with people who are going through the same thing you are. You can band together as a support group. You can help each other out. And, if 20 years ago you needed to reach out to 10 employers to get one yes, and now you need to reach out to 50 because technology sort of increases volume and ability to reach and to connect, then that's what you do. And I think that a platform like ours helps you with others that are going through the same thing, and you can inspire each other and motivate each other and support each other, and it's a wonderful outcome. So just get started. You'll find that things can fall into place.
Lawrence, do you think that the playbook is similar between people who are seeking employment and people who are looking to start a business? Is it really about just kind of jumping in and kind of getting over the hesitation of, oh, I may be too old to do this, and realizing that there are people out there who can really support you?
It's a good question. I think that for folks that are maybe in the workforce now, thinking through what kind of skills that you could either augment or add to sort of continue employment or make yourself more valuable in the workplace, that is certainly one cohort. And then being an entrepreneur is not for everybody, because it sounds a lot easier than it is. It is really quite a tough thing to do. But certain people are built that way. I'm one of those people. You have to be a little bit of a broken toy to be an entrepreneur because it requires you to go and, start something, oftentimes by yourself and study the market and figure out if there's a need and figure out if there's, folks who will pay for your service, and then how you position that service, and are you in person and or, online, and what does that combination look like, and what resources do you need to do that? And I don't say all of that to sort of make it sound daunting. It's, to me, that all sounds wonderful, and what a great opportunity, and why wouldn't everybody want to do that? But not everybody does. And I think that sort of spending some time asking yourself and really wondering, should I be an entrepreneur and go try something on my own? And there's a lot of ways to figure this out. And you both write a lot of wonderful sort of material that helps people sort of understand how to think that through and decide whether or not they should sort of be an entrepreneur or go and work at a wonderful company in a new role that will appreciate sort of all they have to bring. But I think that, being an entrepreneur, for me, it's a wonderful experience. And if we can do anything to inspire others to give it a try, we certainly do.
Great.
One other quick thing, can I add to that, John, with Lawrence, is that what I love about your platform as well is that, learning is something that, at this age in life, and we are going to get some rejections and some setbacks and so forth. But when you're learning new things, learning is the key to building resilience, right? Because you start as the beginner and then all of a sudden you become knowledgeable. So you do that cycle, and what you guys provide people is that opportunity. And you use that word, it builds confidence. No matter what it is you're learning, when you learn something, you're more confident. So you present yourself to the world and to a prospective employer. I mean, it's just magic. I think learning is absolutely, and you've made it so accessible to people. So thank you.
Oh, no, it's a pleasure. And thank you for the kind words. But we will be always very honest in that we still get many things wrong. We can still do things better. We still test a lot of things to see, how we can improve. But that's okay. That's all part of the entrepreneurial journey. If you don't try new things, you don't learn as fast. And I just think it's a fun approach.
Yep, that's
Great.
the dance, isn't it?
Well, before we go, I want to just bring up our card for our next Second Act show that's coming up on October 6th. We have the very distinguished Paul Irving joining us, the former head of the Milken Institute on Aging, now still associated as a senior fellow. with Milken, talking about lots of, I think it's kind of good timing as we're going into the fall and looking ahead towards 2023. Lots of stuff going on in the aging space in terms of career and second act. And then, we will be hopefully having a great conversation with him, and then more guests lined up for later in the fall.
Hey, John, can Lawrence give us a shout out of where people can find Get Set Up?
That is the way we're going to go out. The call to action from Lawrence about helping people get set up on Get Set Up.
Excellent. And by the way, listeners, Paul Irving is a great guest, so definitely tune in for
Thanks
him.
for the plug.
Of course, pleasure to be here. And for those who may be 50 plus themselves or have an older adult friend, family, or loved one who might be interested in learning something new on a virtual platform with others just like them, other older adults, they can find us at www.getsetup.org, www.getsetup.org. And you'll be able to find a lot of really interesting classes there. Some of them fun, friendly, easy, some of them job related, but get started, try taking one. There's lots of free classes. So we look forward to seeing you.
Great.
Thanks for having me today.
Well,
thanks,
thank you, Lawrence. This was great. All right, everybody,
So
thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.